Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Championship Sunday at the 2013 Pokemon World Championships. My name is Evan Pladlat. I'm joined here by my good friend Scott Glaza. Scott, we've had a couple of amazing days of Pokemon already. Had the LCQ on Friday, we had the Swiss rounds yesterday, and some of the top cut, and now we're here for some great finals matches. Junior, Senior, and Masters finals, all coming up today. In for an amazing round of Pokemon, and I am excited. I don't know about you.
I'm ecstatic. We've seen some great rounds already. 2 rounds of top cut, 6 rounds of Swiss. I think there was lots of great games the whole way through, and we should see even more great matches in the finals. The very best players are all that's left now, and they should put on a great show for everyone. Yeah,
the top 2 in every age division are going to duke it out today. Let's take a look at the bracket real quick just to see where we're at. Here we are for the junior division. We see Brendan Zhang from the United States of America going up against Fuko Nakamichi from Japan. 2 incredibly strong trainers here. Brendan Zhang, possibly the single most winningest trainer in VGC history, going up against Fuko Nakamichi. Both of these trainers so strong. Brendan went undefeated in Swiss, and Fuko only lost to Brendan in the Swiss match already.
We should get a great match there. Brendan, one of the more popular players from the United States of America, has won tons of regionals, 2 just this year. Traditionally, the big favorite in all of the American juniors events. This is his last year in juniors, so it's really important to him to finally get that Worlds victory he hasn't been able to secure. He's been in the top 4 twice, so we'll see if he can get it done this year.
Yeah, never quite able to close that one out. This might just be his year. He's already made it to the finals, but he will be up against a very tough trainer in Fuko Nakamichi. Definitely going to be an exciting matchup here. I think we looked through the statistics earlier, and Brendan had a 1.3 average finish at regionals this year, only getting second once.
Right.
I can't think of anyone outside of maybe Ray Rizzo having sort of an equivalent schedule.
I mean, they're just ridiculous. I mean, winning 2 regionals in 1 year and then making it to the finals the 3rd time. I can't think of anyone in any age division who's managed to do that all in 1 season before. It just shows you how good he is and how good the show of his belt will probably be. One of the better finals you could hope for.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Up next, we have the senior brackets. We'll go ahead and take a look at who will be competing for the title here. We have Hayden McTavish from the United States of America up against Ben Hickey from the United States of America. This is the farthest someone from the LCQ has gotten, with Hayden McTavish getting in on Friday, playing all 3 days here at the Pokemon Video Game World Championships.
That's really impressive. Pokemon's a strategy game. It's all about long-term thinking and making smart predictions about your opponent, and it's really easy to get worn down when you have to play that many games. He had to play a bunch of best of threes on Friday just to get into the real event, and then 6 rounds of Swiss yesterday, 2 rounds of Top Cut yesterday. It's impressive to be able to get through all of those games and not falter. He was against opponents who didn't have to play as much as he did because they'd qualified sooner. So he had a bit of an advantage, a little more rested, but he was able to get past them anyway.
Yeah, all of those being best of 3s, that's an incredible amount of games of Pokemon to play over the course of 1 weekend. And finally, at the end of the day, for the VGC, we will be looking at the Masters Finals. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket there. We see Ryosuke Kosuge from Japan up against Arash Omati from Italy. We'll be going against each other in the finals here. We saw a couple of Ryosuke's battles yesterday. Pretty amazing stuff coming out of him, but also going up against a tough trainer in Arash.
I'm eager to see both of these players. Arash we didn't see too much of. I don't think he ever played on the TV, so it should be a surprise for all the audience here. And then Ryosuke, we saw 2 rounds of him, first playing against Seijin Park and then against Aaron Zhang, and both of those were really amazing series. Both times he lost the first game, was able to mount really impressive comebacks against experienced opponents and to come out on top and make it to the finals.
Yeah, definitely an impressive showing from him. Interestingly enough, Japan and Italy, this is the first time they'll be meeting up together in the finals of Masters, but also Italy, Japan, and the United States, the only 3 countries to send trainers to the finals. We'll see if Italy can finally bring one home for them, though. They've had Matteo Gini in the finals of 2011, but were not able to take home the title then. We'll see if Arash can bring it home for Italy this time.
Yeah, it's cool to finally get the last combination of the 3 countries, right? It'd be nice to get more countries involved, but we've had USA versus Italy in 2011, USA versus Japan in 2010, and USA against USA last year. So America wasn't able to make it this year, and we've got 2 great trainers from Italy and Japan to face off this time.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like most about being here at the Pokemon World Championships, is that it is a world and international event. Having the Japanese and the Italian trainers battling against each other in the finals is pretty perfect to me. It'll be amazing to see if Ryosuke can bring it back home for Japan, or if the Italian Arash can bring it home for Europe, for the first championship for Europe here. All of these trainers going through a whole host of best of threes to get to where they are now. We talked about it a little bit in the context of Hayden's schedule going through the LCQ and the Swiss, but you've been in a bunch of best of three situations. You qualified for Worlds this year and have been at top cut in numerous other tournaments. How much strain does a best of three actually put on you and this long schedule to make sure that you are, at the top of your game?
I think it's a lot more than just playing in the best of one format. At least with the best of one format, if you lose, you lose. You can kind of move on. But you can get into some really long grinding sets in the best of three when you're trying to mount a comeback like we saw Ryosuke do, which is really difficult just because it's tiring. It's demoralizing if you lose the first game, so you really have to build up your courage to start battling back in the series. And when you play a bunch of games like that, it's really emotionally draining. Every single round is really difficult to get through here, both because the best of three format makes it more challenging. You have to beat your opponent at least once with them having seen your team before. And then also because every opponent is so good. It's the World Championships. Everyone is a great player. So it's really tiring. And to get to the end like this, it's really a testament to the endurance of these players and also how strong their skills are, because there are a lot of really great players competing for those spots, and these are the two that made it.
Yeah, and I think that was what was most impressive about Ryosuke's set of matches yesterday. He went down in his first game every time against both Seijun and against Aaron, but he still managed to come back in games 2 and 3. And it takes a really resilient trainer to be able to bounce back from the first game deficit there in both sets. Like 2 in a row, that has to be demoralizing.
It does. It shows you how strong he is. I think it would be really difficult, especially he's on the big stage. He's in the elimination rounds, which adds even more stress because you can't screw up at that point or you're going home. But he was able to battle back, even losing I'd say he was behind in game 2 against Seijun, and he was able to turn it around. Like, you can't really get in a more desperate situation than that. You're down 1-0. You're losing in the second game. So, even if you win that game, you've got to do it another time. And he was able to do it. There aren't too many players I can remember who have been able to battle back from that sort of deficit on a big stage. So I'm expecting big things from him in the Masters final.
Yeah, I think that we can all expect great things from the Masters finals. And if you missed some of those games yesterday, you can go ahead and check out the VODs also. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we will be back with the first match of the finals here on Championship Sunday, the Junior World Championship matchup here with Brendan Zhang against Fuko Nakamichi right after this.
I like to play Pokemon because it's fun, it tests your mind, and it's quite competitive.
I think if you're gonna play a card game, Pokemon is definitely the way to go.
I just love how it brings so many different types of people, and you get to meet so many different people.
I like the competitive scene, I like the strategy, and I've made a lot of friends through it.
I just like all the Pokemon and their designs.
It's got a good community, so that keeps me playing.
Because it's the best thing ever.
I just like that it brings all my friends together and we hang out and have a great time.
I like that it's a strategy game and that's really fun to play.
The people, actually. It's very fun. There's a lot of friends here.
It's really fun to open packs and it's really fun to win too.
Just recently my friend got me into playing the TCG and here I am and I'm just loving it. Love Pokemon.
I play Pokemon because it is amazing, and the fact that there's so many different types of creatures, it is wonderful. And I grew up with it. Best childhood ever.
You get to know people, really nice people in your area, and it's just kind of a relaxing thing to do.
I like to play Pokemon because you have to think, and there are so many possibilities.
Ever since first game came out, it looked very interesting, and I've loved it. Grew up with Pokemon. The characters are all awesome. I love the little creatures, especially Espeon and Reshiram.
right, everybody, and welcome back to the 2013 Pokemon World Video Game Championships here in scenic Vancouver, Canada. My name is Evan Pladlat. I'm here with Scott Glaza. We are going to go ahead and get right into the match. But before we do that, both of these trainers are competing for the title of World Champion. Let's take a look at what last year's World Champion had to say about that.
I've been playing Pokemon for a while. It's been fun. It's always new, something different. I'm Aaron Bros, Junior World Champion from San Diego. I've been playing for 5-6 years. I like the community, all the people, friendly. Being the Junior World Champion's been great because it was the first year playing video game. I wouldn't have expected it for sure. And it's been nice, kind of being known a little bit. Haven't got that much recognition, but some people do notice. It's nice. Vancouver's been great, really. There's a lot of nice places to see. My favorite Pokemon would have to be Sceptile, because it was my first fully evolved starter Pokemon. It's nostalgic, kind of. This year's been nice. I did good at regionals, getting second place. Nationals, I made a little mistake in top 16. So I did get 10th place there, but it's been good.
All right, inspiring words from Abram there. Let's go ahead and get right into the match. I'm going to kick it down to my good friend Nick McCord on stage to introduce our first battle.
Thanks, guys. Great job casting. We're really all enjoying it. Well, like you said, we've got two formidable opponents battling for the title of World Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, in the junior division, from the United States, Brendan Zhang. And his opponent from Japan, Fuko Nakamichi. Trainers, you may begin.
All right. It wouldn't be Pokemon without that voice. Thank you so much for that introduction, Nick. Again, this is Fuko Nakamichi up against Brendan Zhang. It's going to be an amazing battle here. We're going to get right into it as soon as possible. You can see that we will be doing this great battle here with Brendan using his team of Conkeldurr, Jellicent, Rotom, Heatran, Cresselia, and Escavalier. And Fuko Nakamichi will be using her team of Kingdra, Politoed, Thundurus, Scizor, Weavile, and Virizion. Not a Pokemon that we've seen a whole lot of, or the Weavile there.
I was going to say, really interesting Pokemon choices here. There's been some great variety this year, showing how many viable Pokemon there are in the game, and Weavile and Virizion are both really interesting choices. I can't remember the last time I've seen them this deep in a tournament, so I'm really excited to see what they're going to do here. She's done really well so far, only losing to Brendan, like you mentioned. So she clearly knows what to do with them. She must have a really interesting plan here, so I'm excited to see what it is.
Yeah, Weavile is definitely one of those interesting Pokemon because it is able to put a lot of pressure with Fake Out, but also it's very frail. So if it can't get the damage off quickly, then it's not going to be able to to provide the support that it needs to. And here we are in the battle. On the top of your screen is Fuko Nakamichi from Japan, sending out her Weavile and her Thunderous incarnate form. And on the bottom of your screen is Brendan Zhang from the United States of America with Cresselia and Rotom Wash. I think we saw this from his brother yesterday.
They've been known for using similar Pokemon. I mean, as you'd expect from a brother duo, they do work together in building their teams. So hopefully this Rotom can succeed where his brother Aaron's Rotom failed and hit a few attacks this time.
Yeah, and speaking of that last battle with Aaron and Ryosuke, the bane of that, the Thundurus, is out on the field also. This time with a little bit more offensive pressure with that Weavile. The fake out pressure coming out, as well as Taunt or Thunder Wave and Swagger risk coming out from that Thundurus. Very heavy support on both sides, actually, as we've seen that Rotom once before already.
Yeah, probably not a whole lot of damage going to go out here. We do have the Dark-type Weevil against the Psychic-type Cresselia here, but it doesn't really want to mess around with Rotom too much.
Yep, Weavile is going to go ahead and make sure that that Rotom doesn't get a chance to attack and uses the fake out on it, while Thundurus is going to go for the taunt. Going to make sure that Cresselia is unable to use any non-attacking moves, sort of like a Trick Room or a Rest or something like that. Rotom does flinch, but Cresselia does not fall for the bait, goes straight for the Ice Beam on that Thundurus incarnate, and is going to activate the Yachi Berry, which will weaken the damage of that Ice-type attack there, making sure that Cresselia is not doing any damage whatsoever.
Some impressive bulk on that Thundurus there. It takes almost nothing from the Ice Beam. The Berry helps, but even then, this Thundurus has clearly been trained to be resistant to special attacks, so Brendan's going to have to take that or keep that in mind. He's got two special attackers out right now, so he may want to consider a switch here.
Yeah, it looks, I mean, the Weavile is still a nice juicy target, but it does put some pressure on that Cresselia, and Thundurus probably not going to mind taking any more of those, non-boosted Ice Beams from Cresselia. And we've already seen Rotom isn't as much of an offensive pressure at Pokemon as we've seen some other Rotoms be.
Yeah, this Rotom is probably still going to intimidate that Weevil a little bit. Like I mentioned before, the previous turn, Weevil doesn't want to stay in for too long and risk getting burned by a Will-O-Wisp, or even hit by something like Thunderbolt, which will do a lot of damage to a frail Pokemon like Weevil.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road for Weavile. It usually is. That's why we haven't seen it in as many battles as some of these other Pokemon like Thundurus or Cresselia. Usually it holds the Focus Sash, so it can at least take out one hit there. But it is going to go with the Ice Shard onto that Rotom. It's going to be not very effective against the Water-type Rotom Washing Machine. Does get the priority off, and the Thunder Wave comes out from that Thundurus. That will paralyze that Rotom Wash. Flashbacks to Aaron's match yesterday. Rotom is now paralyzed, and it may be unable to move. Also cuts its speed, but it does manage to get its Thunderbolt off, and it is going to continue to target that Thundurus incarnate form there. The Thunderbolt is going to deal not that much damage, but gets its own paralysis back. A little bit of payback for the Thunder Wave on the Rotom, and the Ice Beam comes back again. Brendan is not going to let that Thundurus stick around.
Yeah, perhaps learning a little bit from the way his brother's matches went. In those matches yesterday in the Masters Division, Thundurus just survived for many turns and was able to really be disruptive, and Brendan doesn't seem to want to let the same thing happen to him. Also interesting last turn that Weevil chose to Ice Shard the Rotom, probably expecting a switch in there, but not a very effective turn for Fuko there.
Yeah, and crucially, Brendan is ignoring that Weavile, is not afraid of the threat that it poses. I mean, Cresselia generally trained to be bulky, so even if it does have to take a Dark-type attack from that Weavile, probably going to be sitting pretty healthy, even still.
Daring of him to ignore it, though. Kind of tempting fate a little bit, ignoring a Dark-type Pokemon with the Psychic-type out, especially because the most common Dark-type attack for Weevil is Night Slash, a move that has a boosted critical hit rate. So just ignoring it, there's a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong, but it's working out well for him so far. He's with a little bit of a lead here.
And you can see that Thundurus incarnate is going to bounce back, does not want to be giving out any free KOs there. And Scizor now out on the field. And you have to imagine that Cresselia is going to be a little bit afraid now as Beat Up comes out from that Weavile, not the Night Slash, is going to deal good damage to the Cresselia. About a third there, hits 3 times with the Beat Up, as Cresselia does go for the Ice Beam onto where that Thundurus used to be. Hits the Scizor for not very effective damage, just a little bit of chunking there. And the Thunderbolt comes out from Rotom onto Weavile, finally starting to target the Weavile. Going to deal good damage there because of how fragile Weavile is. Ooh, just over half, and Cresselia's taunt finally wears off. So maybe it'll be able to do some more supporting, but now it has to deal with both the Dark-type Weavile and the Bug-type Scizor.
And Brendan gets some information about Fuko's team there that's really important too. Beat up from Weevil, not something we usually see, but it probably explains why the Virizian's there. It has the ability Justified, which boosts its attack whenever it's hit by a Dark type move. So we're learning quite a bit of important information about Fuko's team. Even though the beat up didn't do a whole lot of damage there, it actually probably helped Brendan a lot strategically to figure out what he wants to do in this series.
Yeah, definitely valuable information there, not just about the Weavile, but again, of the Virizian. And we've talked about this all weekend about how best of threes ultimately come down to games of information. How much do you get out of your opponent? How much do you give back? So you can be prepared for all of the surprises to come. And of course, both these players already played in Swiss, so they're both very familiar with these teams already. But maybe some of those tricks hadn't been brought out just yet. Cresselia does go back, and Escavalier comes out on the field, going to be quite happy to stand up against that Weavile and that Scizor, the two bug steel types out on the field here. And the beat up is going to target Rotom, is going to do much better damage than to that Escavalier, but still not that great. Beat up, not chosen over the Night Slash simply because of that lower damage output. But the Bug Gym, Bug Bite from Scizor, what used to be Cresselia, now Escavalier, is going to deal about 50 damage there. Not enough to make that Escavalier think twice about switching in, while Rotom is fully paralyzed and unable to move.
Fuko gets some nice damage there. Burns the bug gem, but still comes out ahead on the turn. Good for Brendan to get Escavalier in, though. It's great against both of these Pokemon. It's not going to take much damage from Scizor, especially with that bug gem down. And Weevil really doesn't want to fight Escavalier here, so it's likely going to force a switch.
Yeah, but it is a good turn of free damage onto all of Brendan's Pokemon there. Does manage to protect the Cresselia, which is very important, especially with that Thundurus sitting in the back. That Ice Beam will be important to check the Thundurus if it ever decides to come back in. But that Escavalier putting so much pressure onto Fuko right now.
Yeah, it's worth noting, too. Even though Escavalier isn't going to take much damage from Scizor, it's not going to do a whole lot back either. So those two Pokemon are pretty safe. It's just a matter of dealing with the other two.
And Weavile continues to beat up on poor Rotom. Going to bring it back down to the lower orange there, 39 HP remaining. As Bug Bite does come out from the Scizor to finish off that Rotom. Is going to be able to get the KO there with the critical hit. Just gravy on top of that one. As Escavalier and Weavile are going to... Oh, and it steals the Chesto Berry. Really great information there for Fuko. And the Avoid Megahorn missing that Weavile.
And that's another one of the drawbacks. We're seeing both of the Bug Steels fighting each other here, and they're often considered for the same slots on teams. And one of the advantages Scizor has is that Bug Bite is 100% accurate, but clearly Megahorn is not.
Yeah. Megahorn, not the most accurate move in the game. Unfortunately, does not connect with the Weavile. But Conkeldurr is out on the field now, which can threaten both this Scizor and this Weavile, provided that Scizor isn't carrying any sort of flying type attacks.
Yeah, the other advantage that Scizor has is the priority move Bullet Punch, but it's the priority move of Conkeldurr, Mach Punch, that's probably going to be making the play here. It certainly puts pressure on Weevil, but Weevil doesn't seem to care.
Yep, and Weavile is just going to go for an Ice Punch onto Conkeldurr, get as much damage as possible there, and gets the freeze onto Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is frozen solid, but the Lumberry comes out from Conkeldurr, cures the freeze. Conkeldurr does not get frozen, but does take an aerial ace from Scizor, has that flying move in its back pocket, and it is going to barely miss the KO. 16 HP, but the Drain Punch comes out from Conkeldurr onto that Scizor. The same type boosted Drain Punch with that Iron Fist ability, going to deal a whole heck of a lot of damage and heal off some of the damage that Conkeldurr just took. And the Megahorn comes out from Escavalier, and it does connect with the Scizor. Scizor is taking a beating this turn, and it does get the KO. Brendan Zhang gets the KO onto Scizor and leaves Fuko in a very bad position.
That's an important knockout there. We just saw aerial ace from it, so Conkeldurr wasn't safe. With that off the field, Conkeldurr's going to have a much easier time trying to help clean up this game, especially threatening the twice week to fighting Weevil with Mach Punch.
Yeah, and that Lumberry paying dividends for Brendan. Defrost Conkeldurr on the very same turn. That could have been very bad for Brendan.
Yeah, he would not have gotten that knockout because of the freeze without the Lumberry, and that's why you use it. It's a great item just to kind of prevent things from going wrong. An important part of getting deep in a tournament like this is that you've got to mitigate the luck factors of the game. There's always probability like misses and freezes, and you've got to do what you can to make sure those bounces go in your favor, and Lumberry helps make that happen.
Yeah, for my money, Lumberry is probably one of the items where if you aren't using it on your team, you'd better have a very good reason why. Escavalier does go back to Brendan, and Cresselia comes out on the field, returns, not afraid of that Weavile still, and Politoed out on the field for Fuko. Conkeldurr is going to detect, hoping to waste a turn, waste one of Fuko's turns. Is going to protect itself from any damage this turn as the Ice Punch comes out into the Protect of Conkeldurr, and the Scald comes out from Politoed into the Conkeldurr as well. Conkeldurr successfully wastes that turn.
A great switch by Brendan there. Not only does he get Cresselia in for free, but he saves Conkeldurr, who's still putting a lot of threat out, even though it's slow. It's got Mach Punch available, and it's difficult just to double target Conkeldurr this turn because there's the threat of Cresselia putting Trick Room up. So just ignoring it is dangerous. So Conkeldurr might get a turn here, even though it probably shouldn't.
Yeah, and as we see Brendan having Cresselia, Conkeldurr, and Escavalier, have to imagine that Cresselia is looking to twist the dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great Trick Room mode. Two of the slowest and most powerful physical Pokemon. So getting Trick Room up would give him a big advantage if he's able to do it here.
Yeah, especially against this Weavile, one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. Of course, the Thundurus in the back has been paralyzed, so its speed will be, comparable to some of these slower Trick Room attackers. But still probably the position that Brendan wants to put himself in here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have to be careful about giving Conkeldurr up here just because he's going to have a hard time with Thundurus, with just his Escavalier to do decent damage to it. But
yeah, and the Ice Shard comes out from Weavile, trying to get some damage in before the Mach Punch can come out from Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr does survive the Ice Punch and gets the Mach Punch off and is going to KO that Weavile with that Mach Punch. Gets the KO there, leaving Politoed and Thundurus against Escavalier, Conkeldurr, and Cresselia. The Perish Song comes out from Politoed. In 3 turns, both of these Pokemon will have fainted.
An interesting move there, especially
and
because...
the Trick Room.
Yeah. Brendan still has a third Pokemon. He can switch out of his Trick Room, but Politoed's going to be stuck.
Yeah, Politoed sacrificing itself in 3 turns to make sure that Cresselia and Conkeldurr have to waste some time switching around. As you can see, the Perish counts on each of these Pokemon falling now to 3. Once that hits 0, all Pokemon hearing the Perish Song will faint.
A really daring move by Politoed there, knowing that its time is probably limited now. But it does make it more difficult for Brendan to close this game out because he's got more complicated decisions. If he either has to risk getting stalled out and losing Pokemon to Perish Song or switching a whole bunch of times, which gives her some opportunities to attack even though she's behind.
Yeah, definitely an interesting play, especially since Politoed is her healthiest Pokemon on the field. That Thundurus coming back in, paralyzed and in red health there. Still a threat now that Trick Room is up, and with that Prankster, you can never count Thundurus out.
Yeah, I mean, Thundurus still has the ability to use moves like Thunder Wave, which we've seen the power of all weekend. Even though there's only a small chance of being fully paralyzed, it always seems to come up at just the wrong moment. So Brendan's going to want to do everything he can to avoid introducing that element.
And that's what makes Thunder Wave such a strong ability. In these sort of high-level matches, every turn counts. And if you waste a single turn, it can change the entire battle.
Yeah, it's one of the best moves because it's versatile. Not only does it have that property, but it slows Pokemon down too, so it's also one of the better control abilities in the game.
Yeah, Conkeldurr successfully identifies that it is the greatest threat here. The Taunt comes out onto Cresselia a little bit late, too late to stop that Trick Room. But will prevent Cresselia from doing any kind of shenanigans here. But it will not. It will just go straight for the KO onto Thundurus with that Ice Beam. And that is going to get the KO. Thundurus will faint. And Conkeldurr, protected and safe, isn't going to be worried about Politoed, who only has 3 turns anyway because of that Perish Song. Conkeldurr does blow the Scald into this Protect. And the Perish counts falling to 2. 2 turns left for that Politoed.
Now, game 1 looks really good for Brendan here. He's got 3 Pokemon left, and all he has to do is not lose all of them before 2 turns pass. Politoed likely doesn't have any spread moves, so it's actually, unless it has Surf or something, it's not going to be able to keep up with the clock. It's going to faint to its own Perish Song.
Yeah, it would need at least 3 turns to KO all 3 Pokemon on the field without a spread move like a Surf. You can see Cresselia is going to switch out for Escavalier. Does not want to worry about getting Perish Songed in the end, but Conkeldurr is still going to move first thanks to that Trick Room. Does get the Drain Punch off, and is going to deal a whole heck of a lot of damage, over half there, and heal that off once more. Getting it back up to 77 HP, back in the orange, as Politoed is going to go ahead and eat its Citrus Berry and recover off some of that damage. Delicious Citrus Berry. great for recovering off that damage there. The Scald comes out onto Conkeldurr, and with the Rain, with the Water type boost there, does not quite get the KO. Conkeldurr, every little bit of that healing from Drain Punch doing work there as it survives with 4 HP.
And some of like Conkeldurr is so frustrating to play against. Not only is it really strong, one of the most powerful physical attackers in the game, but you do have the option of using a move like Drain Punch, which lets it heal and be really bulky as well, rather than Hammer Arm like we saw in Masters yesterday, which is just focused on the offense.
And Conkeldurr, with that last turn of Perish Song, isn't going to go down easy. Switches out for Cresselia, who is going to be back on the field now that he's switched out, is not afflicted by that Perish Song anymore. Escavalier does go for the X-Scissor to attack that Politoed, and Escavalier deals so much damage. Politoed just barely hangs on with a sliver of health there. Does get the Scald off onto Escavalier, but with that Perish Song about to end, this looks like game 1 for Brendan. As the Perish count falls to 0, Politoed faints, and Brendan Zhang of the United States takes game 1.
A decisive victory for Brendan there. He finishes the game with a 3 Pokemon advantage, and that's a little intimidating. You know, we mentioned before that a big part of the finals is, and best of 3 in general, is once you get behind that first game, it's much more difficult to come back. It's a little demoralizing, and when you win by a big deficit like that, it makes it that much harder to battle back.
Yeah, definitely. There was a whole bunch of information gleaned from both these trainers also. They already played in Swiss, but we got to see, we got to see because he tried to use it, the Helping Hand on Cresselia. We also saw the Perish Song from Politoed, the Beat Up from Weavile. A whole mess of tricks that got these players through the finals came out in that last game because they can't hide anything now.
No need now, right?
Yeah.
You gotta leave it all on the table. One thing I thought was really interesting we did see in that last turn was that Escavalier has both X-Scissor and Mega Horn. We mentioned before with Lumberry that a lot of things in Brendan's team seemed to indicate that he was doing whatever he could to put the odds in his favor. He wasn't taking more chances than he needed to. And X-Scissor is an interesting way to do that. Using 2 bug moves, or 2 moves of the same attack type on any Pokemon really is pretty rare because it limits your versatility, but he's traded versatility for accuracy here. Escavalier, not a Pokemon that's known for its diverse move pool by any stretch of the imagination. So rather than using one of the sort of subpar 3rd move options you can have there in addition to Mega Horn, usually Iron Head and Protect, he's going with X-Scissor, so he has a bug move that he knows will always hit. And I think that's a really good strategy if you want to make sure that you're not putting your fate in the game's hands. You want to keep things under control and not take more risks than you need to. And you can see why you got to the finals with a sound strategy like that.
Yeah, as we saw yesterday, a lot of Pokemon sometimes comes down to probability management, and Brendan giving himself as many outs as possible is what makes him such a terrifying trainer to face off. And it's why he went undefeated in Swiss and through Top Cut all the way up to the finals here. Let's go right back into the game. You can see Fuko Nakamichi's team right here on your screen. That's Kingdra, Politoed, Thundurus, Scizor, Weavile, and Virizion. And Brendan Zhang's team, again, is Conkeldurr, Jellicent, Rotom, Washing Machine, Heatran, Cresselia, and Escavalier. Game 2 of the 2013 Junior World Video Game Championships. Brendan Zhang at the bottom of your screen is up 1-0. Fuko Nakamichi hoping to come back in this second game of a potential 3-game set. Will be on the top of your screen. Leads Weavile Thundurus. Thinks that everything was right about that lead. And looks like Brendan also agrees. My lead was just as good. Cresselia and Rotom Washing Machine back on the field.
I'm always a little surprised to see the same leads from the losing trainer, especially when a deficit was big like that. But perhaps she thinks she has a different plan this time. Even though she's using the same Pokemon, maybe she'll differentiate her strategy a little bit. We only saw a few moves from both of these Pokemon last game, so there's still more tricks she might have that could improve this matchup for her a little bit.
And the final score was 3-0 last game, but there were a lot of Pokemon just barely hanging on at the end of that. So it is possible that if Fuko is able to play her cards right this time around, she will still be able to come out on top. And we haven't seen the back Pokemon, too. She could still have made changes back there, and so could Brendan, of course. Weavile does go for that standard fake-out opening, is going to make sure that Rotom Washing Machine cannot move this turn, as Swagger comes out from Thundurus Incarnate onto that Cresselia. Swagger, a move that we saw quite a bit of yesterday, is going to raise Cresselia's attack and cause it to be confused. And again, this is why Thundurus is so feared. Rotom is flinched and unable to move thanks to that fake out from Weavile, as Cresselia is confused and is going to use the Ice Beam. Does go through the confusion and is able to hit Thundurus with that Ice Beam. Does activate the Yachi Berry we saw last time. dealing just a little bit of damage, but when you're going up against a Pokemon like Thundurus that's going to just try and paralyze you and confuse you, every little bit of damage counts.
Yeah, and getting rid of the berry is important too. Then every Ice Beam after this one will do more damage. So Cresselia is probably just going to try to keep whittling away at Thundurus and to get it out of the way here. I do hope that Brendan, if he wants to deal with Thundurus, I think it's important for him to do what he did the first game and try to weaken it quickly rather than just slowly whittling it down. That was kind of the pitfall his brother ran into. And apparently Thunderwave Swagger is the patented anti-Zang tactic, so hopefully Brendan can figure a way around it.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I'm surprised that Fuko is going with the Swagger lead, considering that we already saw Conkeldurr in the back with Lumberry. Conkeldurr would like nothing more than to eat a Swagger and activate that Lumberry to cure the confusion and get that free attack boost.
It's a really great tool on Brendan's side there, just to make it a little more risky to use the Swagger. You can't just use the move indiscriminately or it might end up helping your opponent, and I think it's really clever of him to have that tool available.
And we see Rotom coming back for that Conkeldurr, possibly hoping to get that Swagger off onto Conkeldurr from Fuko's Thundurus there. Conkeldurr out on the field now, beat up on the way from Weavile. We already saw that not dealing a whole lot of damage to Cresselia last game, but a little bit more with that critical hit, bringing it down to about half HP, a little bit under half, but it will activate the Citrus Berry, which will heal Cresselia back up nicely, back above half HP there. Dealing quite a bit more damage this time around thanks to that critical hit and the 4 times that it hit. And the Thunder coming out from that Thundurus that Conkeldurr is able to avoid. Doesn't get the free Swagger, but does not take any damage this turn. Cresselia trying to fight through that confusion. Does not succeed this time. Does hit itself, dealing just a little bit of damage, but more importantly, not being able to move.
It makes sense to see Thunder from Thundurus there. It doesn't work out this time, but it does have a Politoed on the team, which makes the Thunder 100% accurate, so it makes sense that it has it rather than a move like Thunderbolt that just hasn't had the chance to set up yet, so a little risky for now.
And there's Aaron Zhang, Brendan's older brother, on the screen just a second ago, cheering on his little brother in this finals. Conkeldurr out on the field now, doesn't take any status moves actually, now still has the Lumberry and is going to put immense pressure on that Thundurus with an Ice Punch if it has it.
Yeah, it's a little riskier for Thundurus to try to spam status moves now. We've already seen the Lumberry and Conkeldurr, so we know it can block it once. And Thundurus probably doesn't want to hang around here and avoid or risk getting knocked out here because I think that Thunderwave Swagger combination is a really important way for Fuko to deal with Rotom and Cresselia. So losing Thundurus early can make it really difficult to battle back.
Yeah, definitely a great way to pressure that Thundurus and make sure it's not getting any free turns off to paralyze and confuse Brendan's team, just having that offensive pressure from Conkeldurr with that Lumberry. Great adjustment there. Rotom comes back out as the Thunder Wave comes out from the Thundurus, is going to target the Conkeldurr, blow the Lumberry, but it will give Conkeldurr a free shot at Thundurus if it chooses to take it. As we see the paralysis coming out and the Lumberry being consumed. Again, that Lumberry, for my money, possibly the best item in the game just because of the threat of Thundurus. Beat Up comes back out from the Weavile. Is still going to deal some damage to Rotom, but as we saw before, Beat Up not the strongest attack, mostly for that utility against the Virizion. And the Ice Punch does come out from Conkeldurr, is going to target the Thundurus. Will it be enough to KO from pretty reasonably healthy? It looks like it will be. The super effective Ice Punch does get the KO on Thundurus, and the huge threat out of the way for Brendan.
Yeah, we're just talking about how important of a knockout that would be for him to get, and he's able to get it. So Thundurus no longer around to deal with Rotom and Cresselia, both of which still have a decent amount of health left. So they're going to be big for the rest of this match.
And both of which are really strong against the Politoed that just came out on the field here. We already saw that Politoed can force some switches with Perish Song, but without any way to trap the Pokemon in, Perish Song loses quite a bit of its utility.
Speaking of losing utility, one of the other drawbacks of Beat Up is that it does damage based on the amount of Pokemon you still have remaining on your side. So by getting that knockout on Thundurus, not only has Brendan removed a threat from the other team, but he's also reduced the damage that Weavile can do with its Dark-type attacks.
Yeah, definitely a great thing for that Cresselia in the back. And we do see Politoed protecting itself, does not want to be the target of any damage here, as the Beat Up does come back out from the Weavile onto Rotom, just trying to chip that down, correctly identifying that Rotom is the biggest threat to Politoed right now. That electric typing going to be super effective against the water type. But Rotom, showing some of his tricks, is going to take a little cat nap, go to sleep, heal off all of that damage, and presumably wake right up.
A really great move there. He predicts that Politoed isn't just going to leave himself available to be hit by electric type attacks, and uses the move as intelligently as he could there and heals up, putting him in a much better situation, especially without Thundurus around to help weaken Rotom a second time. It's going to be really difficult to knock it out.
Yep, and there is that Chesto Berry waking it back up, as Conkeldurr does try to get the damage done onto Politoed into the Protect. So Politoed does avoid some damage, but more importantly, Rotom is healthy again.
Yeah, one good play by both sides that turn, but Brendan's probably a little bit happier there since, in addition to not taking any damage, he healed a bunch off.
Yeah, and still has immense offensive pressure with both Conkeldurr and Rotom being able to take out both of Fuko's Pokemon on the opposite field there. Looks like a very good position for Brendan to be in.
Yeah, really challenging if you're Fuko here. You've got to find a way to make a switch to get yourself in a better position because you've got both of your Pokemon fighting against counters. And while Conkeldurr is slower than Weevil, it does have the option of Mach Punch, so even that's not really the case.
Fuko with a very gutsy play, leaving that Weavile in against the Conkeldurr, hoping that Conkeldurr isn't going to fight back. Gets the Ice Punch off as the Thunderbolt does connect with Politoed this time, dealing over half HP there, but Politoed will just recover some of that back off with the Citrus Berry. As you can see, Politoed becoming a little bit healthier there, and it looks like the Scald is coming out from Politoed, also going to target that Conkeldurr, trying to get that immense threat off of the field and possibly get a burn with that Scald there. As you can see, it does not get the burn and does not deal enough damage, and the Drain Punch does come out once again to deal good damage to that Politoed and also heal off that Conkeldurr. Politoed just barely hanging on with that red bar there.
A smart play by Brendan there to hit the Politoed with both of his attacks. Since it used Protect in the previous turn, it's much less likely to use Protect this turn. So by putting both of his attacks there, is almost guaranteeing that he's going to get some damage. And when he's already got a lead like this, all he's got to do is make sure he's making even trades to continue through the game.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Brendan has a pretty commanding lead, but it's very easy on a single turn if you, as we mentioned before, if you waste a turn, then you can be in trouble. Conkeldurr does go for the Mach Punch, does hit that Weavile, that priority Mach Punch, making sure that Conkeldurr, very slow, does get a chance to move first, does get the Focus Sash out of Weavile as it hangs on by a thread with that Focus Sash at 1 HP. The Ice Punch does come back out, trying to get Conkeldurr off the field because we've already just seen how much damage that Mach Punch can do. It isn't going to be quite enough. Thunderbolt comes out onto the Weavile. Correct prediction again from Brendan. Double targets the Weavile, gets the KO, and a very, very good position. Brendan has been making perfect plays this entire game.
Yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant this game. He's the favorite to win this tournament for years, and he's showing why this game. Like, absolutely amazing performance in this series.
Yeah, and Scizor out on the field now. Fuko's last best hope against this Rotom and this Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr very low. We already saw that Aerial Ace coming out of the Scizor. Won't want to take any rain-boosted Hydro Pumps from that washing machine, though.
Yeah, also valuable for Scizor here is that it is Bullet Punch, a priority move. So it makes it more difficult for Conkeldurr just to use a Mach Punch on its way out and take out Politoed here. It's important for Fuko to stop that. It's already a 4-2 advantage for Brendan, and if Politoed goes down without doing anything, it's going to be an almost insurmountable lead.
Yep, definitely the case there, as we can see Fuko taking all of the time allotted for her to make this decision. Possibly the game-deciding turn here.
Yeah. It's the mark of a smart player to take your time on a turn like this. I think a lot of players make the mistake of rushing big decisions like this, but this is your season. This is your chance at winning Worlds. You've got to do everything you can to make sure you're making the best decision you can make.
And Conkeldurr is going to detect, not going to let any damage be dealt to it. It wants to stick around with that 26 red blinking HP. With that, you're about to faint music playing. The Conkeldurr does protect itself from the Bullet Punch. Will-O-Wisp does hit Brendan's Rotom, apparently better trained than Aaron on your screen there. Does get the burn onto Scizor, who will now have to deal with reduced attack as well as the damage over time. Politoed does manage to deal some damage back to that Rotom. Good damage there for the not very effective Scald. Oh, the critical hit, there we go. And the burn from the Scald there. Those are the kind of plays that Fuko will need to get back in this game.
Yeah, a big turn for her there. Ends up doing about triple the amount of damage she probably expected to do, but the burn on Scizor is a big deal. With only 2 Pokemon left and Politoed at such low health, she's really got limited time to try to close this game out here. She's got to be really careful about how she does this. Scizor can only survive 6 or 7 turns, even if it's being ignored here. And Politoed, pretty much one hit from anything, will finish it off. So she needs to be very careful. In addition, the burn reduces Scizor's damage, which is going to make it even harder for her to mount a comeback unless you get some more critical hits, which ignore that burn.
And we see the bullet punch from that Scizor trying to get the Mach Punch threat out of the way. Does manage to get the KO through the burn. Conkeldurr is going to feint, but it leaves Rotom up to Thunderbolt, the Politoed. Politoed is going to go down, and that's another source of damage out of the way, and it's going to be up to Fuko's Scizor to bring it back home.
Up to a 3-1 advantage for Brendan now. He only needs this game. He's up 1-0 in the series already, so if he can find a way to knock out Scizor, who's burned and slowly its health is going down, he will become the world champion. Has been working at this for years. 2 top 4 finishes in the last 2 years. This could finally be his year.
2 top 4 finishes, countless regionals championships, countless national championships. He's in a phenomenal position to take home his first world championships here as Escavalier comes out to threaten that Scizor as well. The burn on the Scizor, the burn on the Rotom. Really good position for Brendan. And, you know, he's been working at this, as you said, for years. You have to imagine that his hands are shaking. Hopefully he's able to select the right moves.
Yeah, you've got to imagine. You can taste it now. Only one Pokemon on the other side. It's burned. He's got Escavalier out, who usually wins that 1v1. He's got to be excited now.
Especially with Rotom able to connect with that Thunderbolt. Going to deal extra damage to that Scizor, making sure that even with the burn that he won't be able to survive much longer. Aerial Ace onto the Escavalier is going to deal a little bit of damage, but thanks to that burn, not enough. The X-Scizor comes out onto Scizor. It's going to deal not enough damage for the KO, but the burn damage will be enough, and Scizor is going to fade, and Brendan Zhang of the United States of America will defeat Fuko Nakamichi and become our first 2013 World Champion in the Junior Division. Congratulations, Brendan. All right. What an amazing match there. Brendan showing why he has been favored to win this like pretty much every year. His final year in juniors, finally takes home the championship. I couldn't be happier for him. I couldn't either. And it's a tough place to be the favorite, too. I know he's had such high expectations for so long and at such a young age. It's difficult for anyone to meet that pressure, but especially when you're so young. So I think it's really inspiring that he was able to overcome all the pressure, knowing it was his last year in the junior division, and come out on top. He played a great series. It's not just that he won, but those were almost perfectly played games every time. Yeah, even though he's graduating to seniors now, I think any seniors in the audience know that he will be a threat in the next year's World Championships. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have an interview with our newly crowned 2013 Junior Video Game World Champion, Brendan Zhang. All right, everybody, and welcome back to the 2013 Pokemon World Video Game Championships here in Vancouver, Canada. I'm joined here by Brendan Zhang, our newly crowned 2013 Junior World Champion. Brendan, it's been years in the making. How does it feel to finally take home the crown?
Oh, man, it feels great. After losing like twice at the top 4, finally win. It's great.
Yeah, twice in the top 4, but finally getting into the finals. What was going through your head as you sat down on the big stage in front of this crowd, of this amazing crowd here in Canada?
I was like, oh, if I lose, it's not that big of a deficit, but I would still like to win and, be crowned world champion.
Of course. I think that everyone would like to be crowned world champion. Scott and I were talking about your games during, and we were incredibly impressed by the level of play. How do you feel that you will be prepared to take on the seniors division as you graduate going forward?
I'm actually more excited than juniors because seniors, there's a lot of more prediction and there's a lot more cool Pokemon. And juniors, it's just like, oh, it's kind of standard. My brother gave me this and he told me to play.
Speaking of your brother, Aaron Zhang, who played yesterday, and you both had fairly similar teams. How much of the team building process is collaborative between you and Aaron?
Actually, I built my own team. Aaron just gave me the Rotom Wash idea.
And it looks like your team was maybe a little bit better than Aaron's. I have to ask, what is your record against your brother?
I don't know, like, I win all the time, so.
Spoken like a true champion. So, you know, you're here in Vancouver, Canada. You just became the Pokemon World Champion in your division. How are you celebrating?
I think on Monday I'm gonna go like with my family and celebrate in Vancouver.
Nice. Have you had a chance to explore the city since you've been up here?
Not yet.
Great. Too focused on the Pokemon, right? All right, so moving forward into seniors, you say you're excited about it. Do you envision your play style changing as you go forward, or do you think you have a winning formula already?
I mean, I can't say I have a winning formula just because you can't really experience it until you are in the division. But I mean, I can't say that it's like my play style is going to be exactly the same. Like I am going to adjust, but hopefully it's going to be well.
Great. I look forward to seeing that. So last question. We are seeing the new Pokemon XY games coming out. Have you decided who you're going to start with yet?
Nope.
Make the decision on the spot?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Brendan, and congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Brendan Zhang, our 2013 Pokemon Junior World Video Game Champion. We'll be right back with more games, the Senior Division Finals coming up right after this. Champion.